Hi, my name's Phil Gardner and welcome to Fun with Boxes. Well, today I'm taking a look at how to set up and how to play a game that is launching very soon on Kickstarter. And that game is the rather wonderful Fetching Feathers, designed by Chris Priscott. And this is a beauty of a game. We've met Chris a number of times now at Aircon and at the UK Games Expo, and he very kindly gave me a copy of the prototype version of his new game Fetching Feathers. And he also gave us a demonstration of the game as well at the UK Games Expo. Let's have a look at how you set up and how you play this rather wonderful little card drafting tableau building game. Okay, let's take a look at what we get in a game of Fetching Feathers. Well, we get a pile of bird cards, and I believe there are 72 of these cards that have this back and are all pictures of birds, as you can see. So that's the bird deck of cards. Now you will also find a number of location cards, and the location cards will look like these. They are dual-sided, as in they can be yellow or they can be blue, and that depends on this card, which is the season card. So if the season card's on its blue side, then all location cards have to have their blue side facing forward, and when the season changes, everyone has to turn their location cards around, always making sure that whatever colour the season is, that's what's pointing into the centre of the table. Now there are a number of these location cards, but what we are looking for is the cards that have a dot on them. So these cards are the starter location cards, and there's a set of 3 cards that will be given to each player. The other location cards all will share the same back as the bird cards. So we have our location cards, our bird cards, our season card, and our starter location cards. So first, let's take a look at our starter cards. So these are my starting location cards, and as you can see, they have a number of resource icons on them. This is 1 meat resource, this is 1 plant resource, and 1 fish resource, and this is 1 fish resource. On this season, these are the resources that are available, but as the game is played, when the season changes, then so do the available resources. So instead now I will have a fish, 2 plants and 1 meat available. Now these are important because any of your birds that you are looking to home, they all require different resources. Let's take a look at the bird cards. Now in the top left hand corner you will find what resource that particular bird requires. So for example, this bird requires meat, this bird requires plants, this bird requires either plants or fish, this bird fish or meat, and this bird only fish. In the top right hand corners you will see the number of points or feathers that each bird is worth, and you will be scoring at the end of every round, and there's 3 rounds in the game. So this card would be worth 2 points, this one 2, this one 1, 1 and 2 points. Now the next thing on the left hand side there that is very important, this is the number of birds that can share a location and form a flock. So at one side of the location you could have at most 3 of these cards, 3 of these cards, 4 of these, 4 of these and 4 of these. Now there will be some cards that are only 2 can form a flock, and even some cards where only 1 of them can form a flock. Now, in addition to that information, at the very bottom of the card are some possible additional scoring conditions. And I'll go through these at the end of the game when we take a look at the scoring. But just to give you an idea, these indicate here that if you have a full flock of 3 cards, that each card, instead of being 2, are going to be worth 2 more. So this will add 2 feathers to each of these cards. But you have to have 3 of these cards as a flock for that. And so on with these others as well. So let's go back to the location cards and see how we can home our birds. And as you'll see from this diagram, each location has space for 2 flocks of birds, either to the left or to the right of the location card. Newly drafted location cards can be used to upgrade a location card by tucking the card underneath, as you see in this example. So now this card has 2 plants and 1 fish, rather than just 1 plant and 1 fish. And when you upgrade a card, you can also tuck them under the non-active season side. It won't be available for this round, but when the season switches and the locations rotate, they will be. So that's a quick look at the cards. Let's take a look at how we set up the game. Now the first thing we do is we need to deal a full set of 3 starter location cards to each player. So in this example, for a 2-player game, then I would make sure that each player will get a set of cards. And each player will place these face up on the table in front of themselves. Now, any additional starter location cards return to the box. Then we take the normal location cards, the ones that are not starter cards, they don't have the dot on the back, and we'll give these a good old shuffle. And we will also take all the bird cards and again give these a good old shuffle. This is the season card. We would place this on the table and we can place it either side up. So let's place it this side up, and then making sure that all location cards are matching that colour. So if we were to start on this season, we would have to turn around all the locations to match that colour. And that's it. We are set up and we are ready to play. It's very quick and very easy to get this game set up. So, how do we play? Well, we play over 3 rounds, or 3 seasons, as they say, and each round will go through the following steps. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to deal cards to the players, and we need to deal a number of cards to each player depending on the number of players. So, for example, in a 2-player game, for round 1, we would need to deal each player 8 bird cards and 3 location cards. So we would deal 8 of the bird cards and 3 each of the location cards. Now each player would take their cards into their hands, and then we are ready to start the second step, which is going to be the drafting. Now the drafting step is very straightforward. Each player will take a look at their hand of cards and they will pick one of them. For example, I may pick this one and I'll put that face down on the table in front of me, and I will pass these cards then to a player next to me following the symbol on the current season card. So this is saying that we pass the cards clockwise. So I would take one card, put it face down on the table in front of me, and then hand these cards to the player going clockwise around the table. So for example, this player then would, perhaps they would pick this bird card, put that face down, and they would pass these to me. And then, as soon as everyone has passed one of their cards, then each player will flip over and reveal the cards that they have kept. And then we would take a look at the cards that have just been handed to us, and we would select another card. So I may want to perhaps have some fish locations. So I'll pop that in front of me and then pass these to the next player. And the next player would take a look at their cards, and perhaps they want to have another one of these and pass that around. And as soon as we've done that, everyone will reveal their cards, and we will continue doing this until all the cards are gone from our hands and are now face up in front of us on the table. And then we come to the dedicated placement phase. And in this phase, we're going to take all the cards that we've got in front of us, and we are now going to place our locations and birds to add to or into our starting locations. These are my 3 starting locations, and these are my cards. So now I need to take a look at these cards, because I'm going to want to place out the birds and place out locations for future birds, or perhaps to upgrade locations. So I can see straight away here that I've got one card here that needs plants. So I could place that there, that matches the plant symbol. I have these 2 cards here, both require meat. So I can place these 2 cards to this location because this location has meat. And I can put up to 3 cards there. I've just got the 2 at the moment. And then we can have a look over here and we can see that this bird loves to have fish. And indeed I have another one there that likes to have fish. And I have one here that likes plants or fish. So there's a plant there. I could place that here, or I could place it there, or indeed I could place it there. Now this bird requires 2 fish, and at the moment I've only got 1 fish, but I have these extra location cards that I picked up during drafting. So what I could do is upgrade this location so that it has 2 fish, and to do this I would slide this card underneath the existing location card, making sure I'm matching the colour, and now this card has got 2 fish icons. So this will mean that I can play this card to this side of the location because I have 2 of the matching icons. Now with these remaining cards, I can either continue to upgrade, or I could start, if I wanted to, some new locations in readiness for future rounds to home my birds. Now, when you're upgrading cards, you can upgrade the top or bottom. So I could, in fact, upgrade the bottom part of this by sliding this underneath. And perhaps I will upgrade this card as well for the future. And this card I'll use to start as a new location. So that's our dedicated placement phase. So once every player has finished placing their birds, we end then the dedicated placement phase. Now this may result in some birds without a home, and these birds should be kept in hand for now. Now from this point, birds and locations can no longer move during this round, and any locations played as locations must stay as locations, and you cannot use them on future grounds to upgrade locations. And then we come to step 4, the additional migration phase. Now this is where if you had any birds that you couldn't home, then these will get an additional chance to be homed. Now to give these birds without homes an extra chance, all players passed the birds they can't place to the player next to them following the direction of the season card. So if I couldn't play this one, what I would have to do in the additional migration phase is pass this card to the player following the direction of the season card. If you are given a card during this phase, or cards during this phase, then you can place them into your area only if you have space for them to do so. So for example, if I was passed this card then I can place this card here or here. So I would pop that card there. Now, if the players still cannot place their birds, then those birds are going to fly away and find a nice new home. Once we've done that, we then move to step 5, which is scoring. And we are going to score at the end of every round. So there's 3 rounds in the game, so there'll be 3 scorings. What we would be doing is looking at the number of feathers on each of the cards and adding them all up for our points for that round. So if we ignore the bottoms of the cards for now and just look at the top, this card is worth 1 point. These 2 cards are going to be worth 4 points. These will be worth 4 points, this is worth 7 points, and this is worth 4 points. And we would add them all up together and make a note of it. Now, at the bottom of the cards are potentials for additional scoring. Now, for this card, if we had 2 peacocks next to it, then each of these cards would be worth an additional 2 feathers. So if we had peacocks here, 2 peacocks, then these cards would be worth 3 points each instead of 1. In the same manner, if the flock was full of the 3 birds, then each of these cards would be worth an additional 2 points. So if we had 3 birds here, each card would be worth 4 points instead of 2. And the same here, if there was one of these birds next to this bird, then each of these would gain an additional 2 feathers for 4 points each. This one, however, if there were 2 of these birds here, then each of these birds are going to be worth minus 2 points. So if we had 2 here instead of 7 points each, they'd be 5 points each. And here in this example, we do have 2 fish, so this means that these cards are worth 2 points more, so these are worth 8 points. And then if this is not the 3rd and last round, we would then move on to the final step, and that is the season change. And what we would do here is we would flip this card over, and then we need to flip over our location cards. Now, you may find that the birds can no longer feed from that location. Now, we don't have to worry about this just yet, but in the next round, when we get to step 3, the dedicated placement phase, we will need to rehome these birds as they migrate around looking for the best spot to stay. So at the moment, this bird is fine because it needs a fish. This bird, however, can no longer stay here because it needs meat, not fish. So we're going to have to look to rehome them in the next round. Now, these birds are fine here because they have the leaves. And these birds here are in real trouble because they want fish and there's only meat here. So we would start a new round, deal out a new hand of cards, and then draft those cards. And then using the cards that we've drafted, we would then look to see if we can add more locations or upgrade locations and see how many birds we can add to each location to make sure we home as many of them as we can, and of course get to score the most points. Now, during this step, you can freely move all the birds you have on the table that were there from round 1, for example. So you could literally take all the bird cards from the locations, and then you can rehome all your birds as you see fit. The only cards you cannot reorganize in any way are the location cards. Any location cards that have been played or upgraded remain on the table, but the bird cards, you can freely at this point move them to any locations you desire. Like I said, the game lasts 3 rounds, and at the end of the 3rd round you would add up all your points from the 3 rounds, and the player with the most points will be the winner. Now let's take a look at the bonus types. There are 4 types of bonus triggers on the bird cards and 2 types of effects. So the bonus triggers, these are the seasonal bonus, the full flock bonus, the bird buddy bonus, and the additional resource bonus. So depending on the season, if you've got those icons there, this one is active in the orange season, this one in the blue season. If you've got a full flock, that is active if the flock is completely full. And the bird buddy bonus is active if this bird shares a location with those birds. And in this example here, it must share a location with 2 kingfishers. And then the additional resource bonus there, active if this resource is available in the active season at this location. And finally, the 2 types of bonus effects. The +2 feather symbols here, this will add as many feathers to the feather score in the top right of the card. And this can also be negative. And it applies to each bird in the flock. And then this icon here increases the flock size of this bird by 1. So that would mean you could home an additional bird at that location. And there you have it. That's how you play a game of fetching feathers. Well, there you have it, fetching feathers. This is the type of game that I really like these days. Small box game, but jam-packed full of fun and excitement with wonderful, wonderful artwork as well. It has that wonderful card drafting mechanism in it, and then you've got that puzzle element to it where you're looking for the best locations to place your birds to score the most points. It really, really is a tremendous game. This is the prototype version of the game, and the game is coming to Kickstarter, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend you checking that out. In fact, I shall put a link to the Kickstarter preview page into the description below for you, so please do check that out if you like the look of this game. And to be honest, I would give this, even though it's a prototype, a big Fun with Boxes thumbs up. Oh yes, yes indeed. Well, there you have it. I do hope you enjoy taking a look at this with me. If you did, please consider hitting the old like button, and also please, please, please hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already, because that will really help to grow the channel. And in the meantime, as always, thanks so much for watching. Please do take care, and bye for now.